Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, guys, we have a reading for you guys today. It's been a little while since we did one. I want to thank everybody for subscribing to the second channel and just kind of like with everything going on right now in the world, been focused more on the primary channel, although, the message of the second channel is deep in our hearts, but I also want to bring it to the masses more. And, so been kind of like tossing around what to do long term with the second channel. Keep it going like this, or perhaps transition it to something different. But I will look for your guys' input on that as well. And now going here into the reading, you see the Four of Swords. This came up recently, and it shows that for many of us right now, we're stuck. We feel stuck. We feel like perhaps we even feel scared to move forward with everything that's going on in the world right now. So, everything that is bombarding us, in many cases, it's kind of leaving us like deer in headlights. And in many cases, just simply unable to really progress. And yet, progress is happening even if it's not apparent. There are things happening on realms that are invisible to most of us and unknown to most of us, yet there are definitely changes that are happening energetically and also with consciousness, and also involving perhaps other beings of a very high density that are trying to help us out in these times. So we see completion right next to it. And, this is a completion of a cycle. Here we are yet again. We've talked about this. I hope you guys got to see the live show with Raven. It was one of my favorite ones we've ever done. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. So many great discussions, so many great things brought up about exactly what is our reality. How often do we go through these periods of disasters? It might even be more often than what we're getting from Diehold Foundation or Ben from Suspicious Observers or Chan Thomas from the Adam and Eve story, which is talking about 12,000 years. And then we see there's the thought that there was another flood about 5,000 years ago as well, with the Younger Dryas being about 12,000 years ago, 11,700 something. But we have evidence, people have picked up on things indicated in mud flood theory, as well as the Piri-Reis map and other maps that we have, as well as legends that come from some of the natives, like the Native Americans out west, which we touched on with Raven, that say, maybe we even had a minor reset just as little as 300 to 500 years ago. We don't really know our true history, and the best thing to do is to go within, and that has been suppressed in the West, where in the West everything has been about just trust authorities, trust the politicians, trust the kings, trust the queens, trust the Pope, trust the priests, and we see where that's gotten us. So that is coming to completion. We're done with that. We're not going to trust all these authorities anymore blindly. We're going within and we're sharing with each other the knowledge that we've acquired. That's how we're going to change the world. We're going to have to break out of this system. This is most definitely a matrix grid. Some have said that we are living in a prison planet, and in many ways that might be the case, and that might extend even out of this 3D reality up into the 4D reality right above us. Very well may be the case. As we keep going deeper, it seems to all point in that type of direction. And yet we are coming to a completion of yet another time period, another era, another age, coming to an end. And here we see right next to it, we're longing for home. We're homesick for the stars. And that's what many of us are recognizing, that, this is not our reality. This isn't what we chose or what we would choose for ourselves, for our family, for our loved ones. Many of us did choose to come here because we came here on a mission, and a mission of liberation for the planet. And so those that do that, they're fearless about speaking up. They don't really give a crap what others think. They're just going to point out what is a fact and how we have been manipulated in a very Machiavellian way. one against the other, always pitting us into two opposing camps, manipulating, dividing, and conquering. That's been the way, but we see that. So we must shed the yoke of our oppressors, and that is really why we are here. So many of us are here to point out these facts, to wake up as many as possible, and to collectively break down the matrix that has kept us chained up in this limited, pathetic reality that we see on the planet. A reality which gives no care to any form of life, and is just simply about greed and control. And as we've used the word so much, and we'll keep using it so people start to, include it in their regular vocabulary, loosh, just that energy of despair and destruction, the energy that certain entities feed off of. And while no, not everything is demons, yeah, there are those things that we would call demonic out there behind the scenes, manipulating many people, many beings, and many of our leaders through their own greed, their own egos. The ego is the path to self-destruction, and that is something that's not realized so much in the West, as the West has always been all about ego, and the West is dominated by this tradition which goes back to Sumeria, goes back to the Anunnaki, and has gone through the quote-unquote royal bloodlines with kingship given from quote-unquote on high. Well, that is the system they have used. They appeal to the ego. They elevate some above others and give them lives of luxury, such that they would step on those below them, that they would just view them as sheeple and not recognize that there is this divine being inside each one of us. Every one of us has source in us. And so that's put down so the certain individuals can be lifted up. And thus we have that class distinction. We have the haves and have-nots, which has grown in leaps and bounds every single year. So we must set our course and get our ship straightened. And obviously, as we see Ganesh right next to it with the lion, we must have the courage of a lion. And we know there is going to be a lot of obstacles and challenges on this road ahead. But we wouldn't have been on this road if we didn't choose to in some way, shape, or form. So many are here. You who are listening, more than likely, you're one that came here to help change this world. As so many people that are sound asleep will never even think to listen to a message like this. Because, their heads are not functioning optimally, to say the least. And they are being guided by the ego. They believe in the matrix and the lies that they are sold. And in many cases, they might even recognize there's something wrong, but they simply do not want to go and take that pill and open up that door. Instead, they'd rather just enjoy themselves. But we can enjoy ourselves as the Prince of Wand. And then right next to it, we see Shiva, Mahadeva Shiva. So, Shiva can exemplify a lot of things, as Shiva means no thing. It can also exemplify sexual prowess, union with a good marriage partner, detachment from life's unexpected changes, as well as numerous benefits from worldly enjoyment to liberation. So, one of the things about Shaivism is that it doesn't view the world as necessarily an evil thing. The matrix we're in is not a good thing, and that is an evil thing. But it doesn't have to be that way. And ultimately, this is all about consciousness exploring creation. Now, there are these dark entities that have put a different twist on things, and it's not the natural way of things, not the way things are supposed to be. It's a manipulation of certain dark entities to take over and dominate others. And they have been doing that. And they get many to worship them, and many to just basically acquiesce and give away their own free will. And so be very, very careful of the words that we say. It hit me before that most definitely, this is a matrix that extends not only in the 3D, but also in the 4D. And so certain acts and certain things that we do here in the 3D make it so that when we return to the 4D, we're going to have a certain outcome there that's going to end up propelling us right back here to do it all over again in the same tangled web. Buddha understood this and understood the true path to liberation, as well as many others have understood this as well. So we can't get caught up in that matrix of ego that is laid out by those dark ones. But that doesn't mean that we can't enjoy life, because life is meant to be enjoyed. And as we see the three of fire here, abundance, things looking very good, have patience, make long-term plans. We should always be thinking in the long term. And we can have abundance. Even in these times, we still can. We just have to plant the right seeds, and we must recognize the illusions for what they are. We must not fall prey to the tricks of these dark entities and allow ourselves to be divided and kept divided for all eternity. For this age is ending as we see completion again. It's time to put this reality to rest. Thank you, my friends, as always, for your support on Patreon and Ko-Fi. God bless and namaste.